Hello, good morning. Welcome to the Dailies on Network Television, where we keep you updated with the happenings in the paper. We are aware that the long-awaited Edo election has come and is over, where we're seeing that finally we're seeing that the APC are the ones leading, and we are having them being, for the next 4 years, they are going to be the governor of the state, even though we're having PDP complaining that the election was actually met with a number of irregularities and then a number of things, but then it is what it is. INEC have announced Monday from the APC as a winner for the Edo election. So we congratulate him and we hope that all goes well. We have other stories as well on the paper. We'd love you to please get involved. Drop your comment and your views regarding any of the stories that interest you. Of course, I'll bring this program alongside Rachel Tanzi. Good morning.
Good morning, Celine.
How was weekend?
It was fine. How was yours?
Great, thank you so much. All right, we shall be running through the papers, and I will start with the Punch newspaper, and of course the big story. Edo poll where we have PDP alleges rigging as APC Okwabulu wins, with the rider PDP governors insist candidate won. Obaseki vows to seek redress. And then we have Ugudado rejects the result. Tinubu congratulates as Opabio, Oshomole, Shaibu, APC supporters jubilate as a result of the outcome. And we are having the scores. We're seeing that APC is leading with about 291,667 votes, and then PDP 247, 274, and Labour Party is having just 22,763. So in that accordance, that was how the scores for the voting went. Still on the Punch newspaper, fresh tariff hike looms as monthly power subsidy hits 181 billion naira. PDP crisis, Atiku backs anti-Damagun, the National Working Committee members. As well, we are having MPC may lower interest rate Tuesday, so fingers are crossed. You read that on page 39. Why Wabara was denied job slot coming from the FCC. Still on the Punch newspaper, 1 year after Tinubu yet to appoint ambassadors for 109 embassies. You can read that on page 7. 80-year-old man arrested with cannabis in Lagos. We have the picture story. Congress approves 3.6 billion naira for Lagos FA 2024-2025 season rather. Labour Party crisis, Abure fraction rules out sanction for Obi. Oyomo beat soldier over alleged killing of NSCDC officer. DSS frees 6 hungry protesters to arrange 3. Detail found on page 18 of the paper, and that's all on the Punch newspaper.
On the Matrix newspaper, Nigeria-Libya explores plan for 5,600-kilometer gas pipeline project. EPL resilient, streetwise Arsenal shows strength as City escape defeat at Etihad. Flood alert, federal government issues fresh directives, raises alarm over increasing water levels at critical stations along River Benue. Vice President Shetima departs for UN General Assembly in New York. Tinubu tax police, EFCC, customs orders to end transnational car thieves and transnational car thieves and cyber. This is for criminals. You can find details on page 9. The big story on the paper, Edo 2024, how Pebolo won keenly contested battle. The writer says cost 291,447 votes. Igodalo 247,274. Akpata 22,763. Don't gloat over victory. See it as challenging call to service, a statement from Tinubu. Go to court, President tells aggrieved candidate. Buhari orders congratulate Upebolo. Shaibu laughs last. We must condemn this rape of democracy. Fintiri fires. Don't resort to violence, destruction of property in spite of this provocation. Obaseki is calming the people of Edo. You can find details on page 2. Hindi DJ shone out of BB Niger Season 9. For entertainment lovers and those who have been following the Season 9, you can find details on page 3, and that's all the news on the Matrix newspaper.
Right, let's take a look at another paper, which is the leadership newspaper. Finally, DSS releases hashtag embed governance protesters, detailed on page 6. Terrorists bomb 330 kV Damaturu Maiduguri power line. You can read that on page 22. Fact check, we have why did Ugodado file a lawsuit against Oshomole? And then trending lawmakers to challenge earlier over palliative diversion claim. Both trending and fact check can be found on page 2. Current fuel pump price still driven by subsidy. And we have concerning the council polls, APC clears Kwara and Imo seats, talking about the local government elections. APC Okpebolo floors Ogodalo Apata in Edo governorship, where we still have the scores. And then another writer here saying police walk Obaseki out of INEC office, PDP governors kick. Then we have Tinubu Buhari orders hail the victory concerning that election. But you know, Rachel, before we move further, I think it's very important that we also chip in our own views concerning what happened during the election. I know you and I dedicated the entire week last week to actually encourage people to actually, will I say, try to point out certain things that we observe from 2023 election, which we hope will not repeat itself again in this off-season election. We know we have about 8 states that will do have their off-season, and Edo is now out. So we know we still have Ondo election, and there are many other states that we do have off-season election. But then for this particular election, I remember expressing my fear, as well as telling that I can see that there is a very, very high tension in Edo State regarding that. Of course, we saw the governor of the state trying his best, making sure that from Friday was public holiday so that people will prepare. And then we know INEC, we remember even the president saying the fact that they should try as much as possible to make this election credible, free, and fair. And I remember you stating the fact that we should stop narrowly fair and free election to just going to the polling unit and pinning your vote. It goes beyond that. But I was surprised for the Saturday election, the number of things that happened. Number one, we have the people complaining about irregularities, which was the same thing we faced in 2023 election. We saw vote buying, that it got so bad that they were even food points, cooked food, not even raw food. So we had noodles, we had gala, we had bread, a number of things, and then you just have one of the agents just coming out to tell you, whisper some few words, who you are supposed to go, and then you go. And then we have a number of people who came out to say, in as much as they collected the food and eat, because people were hungry, and they took advantage of hunger to actually try to, you know, buy people's vote and all of that. And then we saw some people saying, yes, we ate the food, but then still, we still voted for our choice. And from some of these things, you cannot help but say to the fact that, or try to conclude and say, you know what, as far as we are concerned, Edo's election was driven by hunger. So people did not use their conscience to vote, but rather use their tummy to vote. So it was more like, what can I get at the moment? I'm not thinking about the next generation to come. I'm not even thinking about the next 3 months to come. I'm thinking about right now. Will I have food for my belly? Food that will take me to the polling unit. And it's really, really sad that we saw money, we saw food. And then we're also seeing in the paper here where we're seeing that it got so bad that even the governor had to go to the INEC office, and then INEC officials had to take him out of the office and all of that. I just cannot help but wonder, when are we going to grow in the nation? When are we going to realize that we are more than food, we are more than Nike? We said it here. We are more than rappers, we're more than all of the things that these politicians try to use to buy people over. And we need to grow above all of this thing that we see happening. And I'm afraid if this is what is happening in Edo State, what I'm going to tell about Ondo State and many other states that are having off-season election. Let's not forget, we still have local government councils. Some states have already conducted theirs, and we still have some states that are still coming up. So you just cannot help but, you know, share in my worry concerning this issue.
So when it comes to the issue of vote buying in Nigeria, it's like terrorism. INEC is just on a wild goose chase because those who are planning to buy votes are 10 steps ahead of them, just like how it looks like and it appears like terrorists are always ahead of our military in the country. It's the same way for vote buying. It's almost like we know INEC is aware of the conventional type of vote buying. However, for the person planning on buying votes have graduated from the conventional and have taken a new form of vote buying, that it will be very difficult for you to point an accusing finger, because if you have a food vendor buying vote with food, it's difficult for you to say this person is buying vote, because what is your proof that I am buying vote? I am just here giving a social aid and facilitating, making sure that people are not hungry in the polling unit and all of that, making sure that, you know what, somebody does not, I could say I'm a charity organization, I could say I'm just out here for the good of the people, I am not doing anything, but people who are in that polling unit know exactly what is happening, that, you know what, indirectly somebody's opinion is being affected, your mindset is being changed, because either way you're like, okay, why am I even here for this party when my party cannot even give me zobo at this polling unit, all of that. So yes, when you are out there as an electoral commission conducting elections, you need to look out for a lot of things. When I know when voters are complaining, or when these parties are out there, agents saying there are irregularities, I know precisely they are meaning, okay, let's check our books, the numbers do not tally. Okay, yes, we have this, we have that, why are you saying these numbers are out here and all of that? I know, but you need to look beyond that, because what if somebody who went there saying, you know what, we are going to vote for PDP, for example, but then Labour Party ended up giving them a full plate of food and decided to change their mind. So even if you think prior to the election that, you know what, we had this unit, for example, and then all of a sudden things change, there were other things that happened that you did not foresee, because we saw situations where certain people were being arrested and arraigned for vote buying by EFCC, but I believe these were those that went with the conventional way of vote buying and they got caught by officers that are there to stop that. But what about those that did not go with the conventional method? Those people went scot-free, obviously. I'm looking forward to where we will up our game, seller, in regarding fighting anything that we do not want to exist. If you are thinking of stopping a problem, you have to think faster than the people, or even ahead of those who you think might cause the problem. If not, we'll keep seeing this problem. Regardless, I just hope that we will not see tussles left, right, center concerning going to the court. I would just like things to just sleep and rest in Edo. It's tiring, the whole go to the court thing. We are seeing a huge margin here of almost 40 to 50,000 votes between PDP and APC. It is a huge difference that the PDP will really need a lot to prove that they were supposed to be the winners in Edo, not APC. So I just hope that doesn't take so much time, that we allow it be and just move. The PDP should go and fix the problem in their party, whatever is the reason that stopped them from emerging as winners. But as far as the votes we are seeing that counted here, the gap is huge. It's too huge for you to just sit down and try to push it aside. Is too big for that. Maybe something more concrete than irregularities and all of that will be your defense if eventually you take it to a tribunal.
Because 10 out of 18 local government, you know that quite.
It
The
is
APC actually swept the whole of, Edo
yes.
State and all of that. But just like you said, if already we're having protests from the PDP regarding they are saying they are not in agreement with that, then we'll just have to keep our fingers crossed and see how this whole thing will turn out to be. Still on the leadership newspaper, Nigerians' annual tire import hits 108 billion naira. Coal mine explosion kills 51 in Iran. Syrup seek probe of ecological fonts. You can find out on page 6. Tinubu orders crackdown on cyber crime and car theft. You can read that on page 16. We have this picture story here looking at the governor of Edo State, Lucky Aiyedatiwa, Hope Uzodinma, Edo State governor elect, and then many others. This was, I think, after the victory of the All Progressive Congress in Edo State. They actually jubilated. So you can do well to grab the leadership and read more detail of any of the story that is quite of interest to you.
On Blueprint newspaper, can patient Jonathan Hill Luremi Tinubu at 64. REA signs landmark park with varsities for improved power supply. CAFCC Eimba edge out Itoile Falente on penalties in Uyo. The big story on the paper, APC's Okpebholo is Edo governor-elect floors Ighodalo, scores 291,667 votes. And we have PDP kick Tinubu Ganduje congratulate winner. You can start with the details on the front page. ECOWAS finalizes talk on $15 billion Lagos Abidjan highway. NHISA and Hyperdeck alert on rising water level in Adamawa, Benue, and Kogi. Urge residents to relocate. Borno constitutes relief committee. NNPCL moves to revive Brass Olokola LNG. Access to sickle cell cure becomes reality. And we have 12 die in Adamawa cholera outbreak, and that's all the news on Blueprint newspaper.
Right, let's take a look at the Vanguard newspaper, where we're seeing still talking about Edo, how Opegolo floored Akedalo with 44,012 votes. The writer saying a new Edo is rising coming from the governor-elect. Okwedalo wins 11 out of 18 local government areas, and then we have Ogodalo, 7 Akpata North. PDP cries foul backs Governor Fitiri insists Ogudalo won. And then we have CSO express concern, says coalition disruption affect the result credibility. So you can do well to look at how the parties stand from Edo North, Edo Central, and also Edo South. So you can look at the various local government areas and the votes that were being casted there. Still on Vanguard newspaper, Tinubu orders crackdown on cyber criminals, transnational car thefts. You can read that on page 8. Federal government frees 6 out of 1,400 #endbad governance protesters. Marketers optimistic of lifting Dangote petrol directly as scarcity persists. Remi Tinubu's 64th birthday can urges federal government to fix the bleeding economy. Concerning Lekki, we have Lagos government Dangote refinery disagree over PAC's call-up system for trucks. You can read that on page 22. And we have Efe Babalola to the federal government allow Dangote sell petrol at lower rate. Still, we are having on sport battle Joshua hit Duber's rematch. You can read what happened during the match. And then coming from NLC president, effort to silence us will fail, coming from the NLC president. And we have other smaller column on the front page. You can do well to get the paper, read more detail of any of the story that's of interest to you.
On Nigerian Tribune, on flood, clear canals, drainages, gutters, federal government alerts Nigerians. Displacement disease loom large in flood-hit Borno as government commences fumigation. Nigeria incurs losses as Chinese vessel hijack AFCTA trade. The big story on the paper, Edo Guba poll, APC's Okpebholo wins victorious in 11 LGAs, scores 291,667 votes. Defeat Ighodalo with 44,393 votes. PDP kicks, rejects results in 3 LGs. Warns INEC on threat to democracy by declaring false result. Okpebholo's victory confirms people's acceptance of APC ideals, a statement from President Tinubu. Tinubu orders crackdown on transnational car thieves and cyber criminals. Adamawa government confirms 12 dead from cholera outbreak. Details of this story can be found on page 24. Man acknowledges government stabilization plan, $1 billion intervention pledged by Coca-Cola. And that's all the news on Nigerian Tribune.
On the Guardian newspaper, still we are looking at a election where we see the APC and the PDP as well as the Labour Party what their scores were for the election on Saturday, where we're seeing PDP forms demand review as APC Okwehulu wins. You can read detail of that on page 6. PDP kicks as APC clears local government seats in Imo and Kwara State. Refiners want FX rate at 1,000 naira per dollar to reduce fuel price as Efe Babalola warns against monopoly. Refiners want FX rate at 1,000 to a dollar to reduce fuel price as Efe Babalola warns against monopoly. Detailed on page 5. Pro billions of ecological fund award to Bruno Serap tells Tinubu. Ohanize urges Tinubu to replace underperforming ministers. Cholera claimed 21 lives in Adamawa and Katsina State. Borno faces health crisis with over 230 health facilities destroyed. Most politicians, not politics, are dirty, says Obasanjo. Most politicians, not politics, are dirty, says Obasanjo. Detail found in the paper. That's all on the Guardian newspaper.
On First News newspaper, the big story, INEC declares APC Okpebolo winner of Edo governorship election. Triumph reshapes future of Edo's leadership. Obaseki PDP kick, supporters protest. Still on Edo 2024, APC disgraced Governor Obaseki defeats PDP in his LGA. Federal government urges Nigerians to clear drainages as flood risk increases. NDLEA arrests 80-year-old grandpa, seizes nearly 15 billion naira worth of drugs. Kwara Imo LG elections, APC wins all chairmanship, councillorship seats. Rivers APC chair blasts pro-Wike lawmakers for denying dumping PDP for APC. Agency warns of looming severe flooding in North Central and Northeast states. Still on the paper, Tinubu welcomes APC victory in Edo, comments peaceful conduct of poll. First Lady distributes 4,800 bags of rice to vulnerable groups in Lagos, and that's all the news on First News.
All right, let's look at Daily Independent newspaper where we have NIHS warn of impending flooding in Adamawa, Benue, Jigawa Delta, Anambra Rivers, and other states. The Welsh detailed in the paper. Serap asked Tinubu to probe spending of billions of naira ecological funds by Borno government. And we are having no return of cybersecurity levy, CBN reassures. No return of cybersecurity levy, CBN reassures. Where we saw last week about 0.005% was placed on that, and they are saying they are not returning. So you can do well to read what that entails on page 6. Adamawa government confirmed 12 deaths from cholera outbreak. Tinubu orders crackdown on cyber criminal transnational car thieves as EFCC repatriates $180,000, 53 vehicles to Canada. Sheitima departs to Abuja for US to attend the 79 UNGA session. You can read that on page 7. Aggressive fintech penetration takes toll on banks' fortunes. And downside of the paper, why we won all seats in Kwara local government areas election by the APC chairman. You read detail of that on page 7. The big story is still concerning the outcome of the election, where we're seeing various things, various writers following that story, such as PDP rejecting the result, alleges massive irregularities, observer groups query authenticity of the declared result. Tinubu congratulates Okpebolo on the electoral process. Victory shows confidence in Tinubu's admin coming from the APC. And the last writer say flood polls, signpost 2027 expectation coming from stakeholders. You do well to grab the paper in more detail of any of the story that is of interest to you.
On Daily News Hub, Edo poll, PDP supporters protest alleged results manipulation. The big story, Guba poll, APC displaces PDP in Edo as Okpebolo wins. APC wins 11 LG, PDP 7. DIG denied PDP agent access to Edo Collation Center but granted access to APC. This is coming from Governor Fintiri. Women protest in Kogi accuse EFCC of witch hunting ex-Governor Bello. Fire got UCH in Ibadan. Sean becomes third housemate to leave BB Niger Season 9. NDLEA arrests suspected drug trafficker at Kano Airport. Istanbul Derby, Osimhen shines as Mourinho's Fibonacci falls 3-1 to Galatasaray. Boniface gives Leverkusen last gasp victory over Wolfsburg in 4-3 win. On EPL, Manchester City hold Arsenal 2-2. Still on the paper, Edo Guba poll might be worst in Nigeria's election history, a statement from Igodalo, and how DIG ordered Obaseki out of INEC office. We have a picture where from left to right we can see Olori Ogembona Olu of Igbore, Ibala Land Oba Odeshegun, permanent member Lasubeb Honorable Bayo, during the ACE Awards 2024 held in the Lagos Country Club Ikeja, Lagos. This happened yesterday, and that's all the news on Daily News Hub.
Alright, before we continue further with the paper review, we would love to hear your take. What did you feel about the outcome of the result coming from the Edo election? As well as we've seen that the vice president will be departing the country for the UN General Assembly that will be holding. So we have quite a number of stories on the paper, which we are really interested in what your views are. So when we come back, we will continue the paper review. Please stay tuned with us.
Make your everyday informative, make your everyday count. Know your world, daily affairs, national and international, with authentic news events as they unfold on Global News and Zoom on Nigeria, Monday to Friday at 1 p.m.
Welcome back. It's still the dailies. We have been looking at a number of stories. We're looking at the scores from the election, where we're seeing that APC was leading, and then the PDP was second, and then Labour was actually third after the election, where we're seeing that the PDP as well are complaining of irregularities and then a number of things as well, which they feel that the result was being forged. So we'll keep our fingers crossed, making sure that the commission and relevant authorities know what to do to pick it up from there. As well as we're seeing that Vice President is actually leaving the country for the United General Assembly meeting, and as well we're seeing that the CBN, hopefully tomorrow they'll be having their MPC meeting, where speculations are they might actually go down on interest rates. So our fingers are crossed concerning that. Do well to get the paper in more detail of the stories. As they have Rachel Tansy with me. Thank you so much,
You're
Rachel.
welcome, Sally.
All right, we will continue looking at the New Telegraph newspaper. Revenue generation, federal government agency earnings up by 89.56% to 617.76 billion naira. More detail in the paper. And then on aviation, Nigeria to shift foreign traffic gap to domestic carriers. Still in the paper, Tinubu orders crackdown on cyber criminals, transnational car thieves. Maiduguri in darkness as terrorists bomb newly repaired power transmission line. Efa Babalola warns federal government NNPC Limited against PMS price monopoly to frustrate Dangote refinery. Kanu's case need political, not judicial solution. You do well to read detail of that on page 11. The big story is still where we see INEC declares APC Okwedolo's winner with 291,607. I take that story. INEC declares APC Okweholo's winner with 291,667 votes. APC Okodado with 247,274 as Labour Party Akpata grants with 22,763. Tinubu hails a peaceful process, charges winner to demonstrate in victory. And then we have Buhari, we have Ganduji and others congratulate the governor-elect. PDP alleges the result manipulation and others. Election observer raise transparency concern. Leave to oath of office. Leave to oath of office. PDP goes tell INEC as Obaseki urges scam. You can read detail of that on page 2, 3, and 26. NDLEA Customs seized 14.9 billion naira drugs at Tin Can Port. APC sweeps all local government position in Imo election as PDP wins all 17 local government chairmanship seat in Enugu State. High-profile cases that will shape new legal year. You can read that on page 14 and 16. Coming from Zamfara, governor easing sabotaging fight against banditry. PDP replies APC. State pardon for corrupt public officers undermining anti-corruption fight coming from SAN, where we're seeing some riders following that story. You can read detail of that on page 7. DSS releases 6 detained #End Bad Governance protesters, where we see DG recognize citizens' right to peaceful protests. More detail found on page 4. We have a study that says soft drinks diet low in omega-6 driving strokes. So you do well to read that. I think it's quite important for everyone to view that on page 27. And that's all on New Telegraph newspaper.
On the Daily Times newspaper, the major stories: federal government announces contactless passport renewal for Nigerians. The big story on the paper: Edo governorship poll, why APC's Upebolo triumphed. If you want to know why, you can find details on page 2. Irregularities very apparent, extremely scandalous, Ozembemi is saying. Tinubu Ganduje congratulate Edo governor-elect. NDLEA intercepts 16.1 billion naira opioids in Lagos. Investors on edge as delay in Sukuk savings bond payments raise concern. Climate finance by multilateral development banks hits record $125 billion in 2023, a report. You can find details on page 11. Tinubu orders crackdown on cyber criminals, transnational car thieves. Comments EFCC for returning $180,000, 53 vehicles to Canada. NIHSA warns of imminent flooding in Benue Basin. You can find details on page 10, and that's all the news on the Daily Times.
The Nation newspaper, we have Okweholo had-won victory return Edo State to APC 4. The writer said Tinubu victory, challenging call to service. Obaseki PDP cry foul. You do well to read detail of that on page 4. DJ Copy makes history as the first British Nigerian to host UNGA's opening session. Says she's passionate about quality education for young people, and we can see the picture story showing her doing just that. Shetima off to US for the 79 UNGA. Expert project rate retention by the MPC. Federal lawmakers return to firm up council autonomy process. And we also have, outside of the paper, NDLEA intercepts 16.1 billion naira drugs in Lagos. Detained August 1st protesters freed. You can read detail of that on page 6. And that's all on the Nation newspaper.
On Nigerian News Direct, youth employment, Africa's economic growth top Elumeli's agenda at UNGA 2024. Transnational car theft, Tinubu orders crackdown, comments EFCC for returning $180,000, 53 vehicles to Canada. PDP queries Kwara LG election results amid violence, allegations of fraud. On insecurity, we will get Bello Turji. It's a matter of time, an assurance from CDS Musa. NDLEA seizes 14.9 billion naira worth of opioids, arrests octogenarian dealer. The big story on the paper, Edo 2024, opposition kicks as INEC officially declares Opebelo winner, announces authentic results from polling units to avert crisis. PDP wants APC and INEC. PDP backs Fintiri, alleges manipulation of result. AAC condemns INEC's conduct, calls for mass protest. And that's all the news on Nigerian News Direct.
All right, let's look at the Inquirer, Abuja Inquirer newspaper, where we have agency warns of looming severe flooding in North Central and Northeast. Agency warns of looming severe flooding in North Central and Northeast. You do well to start reading that on the front page and more detail on page 2. Abuja natives protest exclusion from federal appointments. And we have FCT Civil Service Commission begins staff regularization. Remi Tinubu at 64 can urges the federal government to fix Nigeria's bleeding economy and insecurity. A report here is saying Naira among the 10 worst performing currency globally, data found on page 14. APC takes a dual flood of Basike, PDP. The writers say PDP protests rejects the result. Police warn against protests. More data found in the paper. Hashtag end bad governance. DSS frees 6 protesters to arraign 3. You can find that on page 2. We have a picture story on the front page of the paper, which you can do well to get the paper in more detail of the story that was interest to you.
On Sporting Sun newspaper, Stone's 98-minute equalizer keeps City on top, and I believe Man City had the toughest 45 minutes of their life. Mbappe equals Messi benchmark. Details can be found at the back page. Haaland rules out move to Man United or Chelsea. Pogba releases first music tag. Partey makes 100 Premier League appearance. And we have Wobie delight in Fulham EPL runs. Mikel hails Lookman for choosing Nigeria. Chelsea still in talks over Osimhen transfer. The big story, Boniface celebrates with nice dance again after late winner leaves Bayer Leverkusen. You can find details on page 6. Man City to pay British record fee for Wirtz, and we have Stats confirms Fernandes worst in Premier League. Fury Usyk knocked Anthony Joshua on defeat to the boys. Details can be found at the back page, and that's all news on Sporting Sun.
On Business Day newspaper, APC's Okpeholo declared winner of Edo disputed poll. The writers say worst election in history, coming from Ihodalo, and then we have the CSO raised concern over transparency in coalition. You can read detail of that on the front page and on page 31. External reserve hit 22-month high amid Naira struggles. New spectrum ban to curb Nigerians' incessant network outages. The big story on the paper, Nigerians late to gas party as Inter costs $30 billion, data found in the paper. We have the picture story where the president was signing the deal with Coca-Cola. This happened recently in Abuja, and that's all on Business Day newspaper.
On Punch Sport Extra, the big story, Super Rush. Ajibade backs brace assists in Atletico big win. Boniface net winner in Leverkusen thriller. Moses renders assist. Joshua vows to keep boxing, hails the boys. We have the story that says Stone's late equalizer breaks 10-man Ghana's heart. Osimhen hails Gala fans after Fenerbahce win. United contact agree, and we have Jackson top player, statement from Palmer. Sancho's form delights Pogba and Greenwood. Back unsure of the young return, Neymar looks little after 11 months layoff. Nigeria beat Tanzania in Under-19 Cricket World Cup qualifiers. Alcaraz criticizes tennis schedule. Details can be found on page 2, and that's all the news on Punch Sports Extra.
The Metric Sports saying I will beat Usyk, fight Dubers, take all my belts, coming from Tyson Fury. Anthony Joshua admits mistakes, explain why he lost to Daniel Dubers. You can find detail of that in the paper. And then concerning the EPL, resilient, streetwise Arsenal show strength as City escape defeat at Etihad. Detail found in the paper. We have tables, Premier League as well as La Liga. You can do well to look at the top six for La Liga and then what the scores are for the Premier League in the paper. And that's all on the Metric Sport newspaper, and as well how far we can go on the program, the Dailies. Thank you, Rachel, for doing this.
You're welcome, Celia.
As well, thank you to our viewers, supporters, and every other person that made the program a success. We look forward again to doing this tomorrow. Please do have a great day ahead.